Keep your comms up. Keep your comms up. Keep your comms up.
The Panther Comms Podcast with Timmy VO.
Hello, Panther fans, and welcome to another episode of the Panther Comms Podcast. I'm your host, Timmy VO. What's good? I'm going to talk to you guys about Baker Mayfield in this situation, but I'm going to be coming from the Cleveland Browns perspective. Folks are worried about, downgrading. And again, people have mentioned this on Twitter and Facebook, things of that nature. I mean, the ceiling. We don't have a ceiling at the QB1 right now. Yeah, we're coming from the the second layer of the dirt here. I'm not being personal on Sam. I'm not. It's just you'll see from the numbers. Stick around. Baker Mayfield will probably be a Carolina Panther, folks. According to some sources in the from the Browns media, one being from Cleveland.com. It seems like we're interested. Now, I have to ask you guys: do you blame him? Seriously, do you blame Fitterer for being interested in one Baker Mayfield? I mean, I like competitors. I do. They seem to come to work and really want to get shit done, so to say, right? Just being blunt. And Baker has some issues with just being a loose cannon in terms of how he actually reacts to things, but you can't say folks don't respect that kid from a football standpoint. Him and Odell had a falling out basically, and of course Odell got the better hand on that one. But at the end of the day, folks, he's a competitor that can throw the football. He can throw that damn rock, and we saw it live in action when he came to B of A. The kid can throw. Say what you want, that kid can throw, and apparently, McAdoo has a lot of shotgun in his offense. Baker Mayfield flourished from the shotgun more than under center. So take it as you like, but apparently Carolina Panthers are really interested in him. Well, of course, Robbie had some worries about it, but I'm not going to get into what Robbie said, man. At the end of the day, Robbie don't sign checks. I mean, he can feel how he feels, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, he's going to come up and go to work, I'm sure. But this is more about Sam Darnold versus Baker Mayfield. But this is from Cleveland.com. The author is Mary Kay Cabot. And got some really good numbers on here. It's from April 16th. Okay, so and she starts talking about Robbie and how he felt about Baker coming here and all that good stuff. And he was if you're on social media, you obviously seen coming straight from his account, things of that nature. But it seems that this is not going to be a money issue here, because the Cleveland Browns and the Carolina Panthers have two QB1s. Well, since Cleveland got Deshaun, but they both are making almost the same amount of money. And it's a guaranteed fifth-year option on top of that. $18.86 million. We'll have to do a deal here. This is not just a free agency thing. Remember that. If we can get money for money, and Deshaun, you still have to see this as a fluid situation, because Sam Darnold might be their starting QB, but Cleveland can still draft a quarterback. Don't be surprised, folks, if we don't do a deal until we draft at 6 and have already something written up ready to go. Because we could simply switch QBs, all right, switch Baker for Sam, draft a quarterback, okay, and that be part of the package. And so they'll get Sam Darnold and a QB they want. We can get Baker Mayfield right? And just completely get rid of the QB situation. To be honest with you, and we could still draft a decent quarterback. I'm just saying, there's some kids in here that can play. The kid from Cincinnati, for one. But we can still draft a quarterback and be all right. The question is, do we really want to risk if two of the top left tackles drop to us? Do we really want to risk missing out on a bookend left tackle for the next 6 to 8 years possibly? Do we really want to risk that just to get rid of Sam Darnold? Because at the end of the day, trading for Baker Mayfield is not bringing on a better quarterback. It's about getting rid of the bad one. At the end of the day, folks, that's desperate times calls for desperate measures. And this is what the Carolina Panthers organization has set up for themselves, as we all know. So, but yeah, I found that very interesting that they make the same amount of money on the same fifth-year option, and Tapper and the guys, well, I should say Fitter and the guys are really interested in him. So let's look at his numbers real quick, because I mean it's clear as day to me. It's clear as day to me. For folks who are listening, I'll read this out to you. If you're watching the video, obviously you can see this for yourselves. So dig it. Baker Mayfield, he's finished the season only one time with less than 60% as a completion percentage. Only one time. I think Sam Darnold was over 60%. Yeah, was over 60% one time in his career. Right? If you didn't know, Baker Mayfield, he capped well over 3,000 yards in his first 3 seasons. Darnell got 4,000 the same year. He had 59.4 was his completion percentage for 2019. But he also almost had 4,000 yards. His QBR, his quarterback rating. QBR is different. His quarterback rating was 78.8. So he was slinging that rock, man. It's interesting. But outside of 2019, he was over his rating. His rating was over 80. His quarterback rating was over 80. I mean, Sam Darnold hasn't even touched that. So I mean, it's more of getting rid of a bad situation, which automatically makes you a better team because you have someone that can actually do somewhat of a good job, right? But again, it's really going to depend on what Cleveland's looking to do with Baker, because they clearly stated that they're not going to let this guy go for nothing, and they're still trying to put their team together. Apparently, they're going after Jadeveon Clowney potentially, and they got to tie up loose ends with Jarvis Landry. And the Cleveland has Jacoby Brissett, and they have Josh Dobbs, and they really don't need a quarterback since they got Deshaun, or QB1, I should say. And that's why Baker's so pissed, to be honest with you. You loaded at the quarterback position, basically, right? But like I said, it's a fluid situation. Deshaun might not be playing. Who knows? But it's kind of crazy that they went through with the Deshaun situation without getting rid of Baker first. But I think the GM is quoted as saying in the same article, if Mayfield is still on the roster, I'm quoting here, if Mayfield is still on the roster, he'll take up quarterback reps along with Watson and Jacoby and so on and so forth. He'll also attend all meetings and other team functions, right? So they're not going to have a situation like Deshaun was in Houston, kind of being ostracized a little bit. They said they expect Baker to be fully engaged. Okay. Continuing. While it's not ideal, the Browns would rather keep Mayfield around for depth than make a bad deal or release him and eat the whole contract. So they're not going to try to just let this kid go. Andrew Berry, the GM for the Cleveland Browns, he made it clear in the annual meeting last month that he won't make a suboptimal deal just to get Mayfield moved. So what happens if he's still here for mandatory minicamp? And as I explained earlier, he's going to be fully engaged. Okay, so the reason I say that and bring that up is, the Carolina Panthers don't have room to kind of, teeter-totter on this, right? Because Cleveland's going to ask for something substantial, whether it's Deshaun or not. Whether it's Baker or not. Nah, I was thinking about Deshaun because Deshaun's there, so they're kind of forcing the situation. But how willing are they to put up with a potentially toxic environment? Only time will tell that, and the draft is right around the corner, so it could be interesting. It could be very interesting. In fact, maybe I should look at the Cleveland Browns draft pick stock and look at let's do that. Let me bring that up. I'm sorry, I'm using my smart device. And just a reminder, Panther Fan Fridays will be going down pretty soon. I'm gonna have a special draft edition, and after the first day of the draft, get some folks on here to have a good interview when we'll talk. Because when we have players on board now, we can talk about the future and hopefully getting an idea on schemes, schematics, potentially things of that nature. So anyway, let's look at the Cleveland Browns draft pick stock. Let's dig it. What you got, Cleveland? What you got, Cleve? They have 7 picks. Really? All right, so they have, Jesus Christ, they're loaded at the back end. They have a second rounder. Yeah, so Cleveland, some of you guys might know this because of the Deshaun situation was well followed. But Cleveland sent its first round selection in 2022, 2023, 2024 to Houston. So what they have this year is a second rounder, the 44th pick overall, the 2/3, the 78th and the 99th. So they already have 3 picks in the top 100. That's decent, especially with the defensive end stock that's in the draft this year, offensive linemen, receivers, just saying, linebackers, and Cleveland already has a stout defense. And again, I'm looking at this from a Cleveland perspective because we're gonna have to give up some stuff for these guys, and what are we going to get in return? Right, that it is a factor in the situation. So if we do decide to go with a trade for Mayfield, we don't have draft stock to give them. Hell, their draft selection's better than ours. They have a second and 2/3. Let me finish. They have a second round, a 2/3 rounders, a 4th, a 6th, and 2 7ths. And 3 in the top 100. We have one in the top 100. So, scenario: we could draft whatever it is that Cleveland is interested in at 6, and do our thing, or we can trade for Mayfield and put some picks in there. Why not? But at the same time, it doesn't seem like it'll be favorable for the Carolina Panthers to trade for Mayfield. And the reason I say that, are we going to get much better with Mayfield and passing up on really solidifying our offensive line if it's available? Now, if the O-line are gone, right, the top 3, I know a lot of people saying we're going to get that kid from Mississippi State, but if we don't have an offensive lineman that we like and we draft QB, I know Cleveland's not going to want that, right? So the Mayfield situation has to fit, because I don't think the Carolina Panthers are going to just completely look over the chance to get a stud QB, because Willis has the potential to be better than Baker, and so does Pickett. But I'm not quite sure Pickett's going to be. I don't know. The kid can play, obviously, but I'm not 100% on Pickett. I'm not. I think the game might be a little too fast for him, right? And Willis can kind of get out of that with his athleticism and his escapability and things of that nature. And he got a powerful arm, right? He can throw people open with that type of velocity, but he can also get in trouble too, because it doesn't matter. The NFL is a whole different ball game when it comes to speed. It's a whole different ball game because everybody's on a different level, especially obviously if you're a veteran. For the most part, you're already on a different level in terms of the speed of the game because you're used to it, how things look, how things move, routes, things of that nature. If you're a defensive back, how to beat offensive linemen. If you're a defensive lineman, DN, it's not a bad thing if we get Pickett or Willis, but I'm not quite sure if skipping on those guys will benefit us in bringing on Baker, right? Because I seriously doubt we're going to have the 6th pick and have Baker Mayfield. I really don't see that happening because Cleveland is not just going to be like, yeah, sure, yeah, you can have Baker and we'll just take Sam. Yeah, sure. Come on, man. So we'll see. But again, it doesn't seem like we're gonna skip off on Baker. It doesn't. Either way, it's an upgrade from Sam if we do trade. I just hope we're not naive enough to put ourselves in a deeper hole when it comes to draft picks. Okay. Trading Sam for Mayfield and their 2nd rounder, right? And if anything, we might be able to get a 4th rounder from them, maybe. I mean, that's still decently high. But I don't think giving up Sam and the number 6 for Mayfield, that'd be devastating. That'd be devastating. You don't pass up on talent, like the top 2 tackles in the draft this year. You don't pass up on that. Hey, so thanks for joining me, folks. I appreciate y'all. I love talking Panther football, and I love talking about different angles of the situation and whatnot. And yeah. So please, if you don't mind, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitter and things of that nature, and send me any questions or comments that you may have, and I'll bring it up on the podcast. And let's look forward to the draft. It's going to be very interesting. And again, there's so many different angles this can go. Baker said himself he Seattle was the first team that came out of his mouth on that interview on the podcast. So, but hey, you never know. We never know. Robbie might be eating those words. Anyway, let me stop. Y'all be good, Panther Nation. Happy Monday. Take care of yourselves. And as always, keep pounding. Yes, sir. Baker 2-2. Baker 2-2. This is Mayfield. Okay? Oh, damn.
The Panther Comms Podcast with Timmy the O.